Well, good morning, everyone. Hello, my name is Priya Bitani. Thank you so much for joining us today, and Happy New Year to all from RegDesk. We thought we'd try something different and unique at the start of the year, so we requested several members of our RA team to provide you with insight into what regulatory changes you can expect for this year, 2025. For those of you joining us for the first time, RegDesk is an AI-powered RIM platform with built-in regulatory intelligence, which is a huge help. Our platform allows RA teams to leverage AI to prepare, manage, and publish international submissions smarter and faster. If you'd like to learn more or have any specific regulatory needs, we'd be delighted to schedule a one-on-one call to address any questions you may have. And also, if you want a demo of our platform, we can certainly do that as well. Our marketing manager, Gay, will soon enough provide a meeting link in the chat if any of you want to schedule a call with us. We have a lot to cover today, so I'm going a little fast. Before we begin our discussion this morning, I'd like to turn our attention to our attendees. Thank you once again for joining us. We truly appreciate your participation. At the end of this meeting, as time permits, we will hold a brief Q&A. We encourage your participation. Please refer to the chat button on your screen. And in the interest of time, you can submit your questions there throughout the course of the talk, regardless of the speaker, and we'll try to address as many of your questions as we can. And just in case, if you run out of time, please don't worry. You can email us your questions. We did receive some questions. I will email the answers and respond to those emails. I was waiting for the team to provide the answers and clarification to what was asked. We love your feedback, so please give us your feedback for today's webinar. And also, if you have any topics you'd like for us to cover this year, we can then try our best to put that in our cycle of webinars. And our webinars are quite popular and successful. And we, again, truly appreciate you taking the time to attend and join in. And our hope and goal is that you walk away with some knowledge that you were unaware of or information that you were unaware of. We will share the slide deck with you. We'll also share the email addresses of all the speakers from today. That way, if you have any questions, you can even email them directly. We will do all of that. So let me share my screen and let's get started. The topic today, once again, is global regulatory changes for 2025, what you can expect. Obviously, this is just insight into what we think will happen in some of these countries. We can't cover every country around the globe. We're trying to cover a lot of the major markets that today. Today we have a lineup of speakers. We have Apurva Kushare from the US who will cover the US, Baraa Nofal, who is based out of Jordan. She'll cover the MENA region and some of the Africa countries as well. Claudia Mayer, who is based in Brazil. She'll cover the projections for LATAM region. Kartika Puri, who is based in Canada, but has done a lot of work in the EU, will address the EU. Rosie Nguyen from Vietnam will cover changes in Vietnam. Sothira will cover changes in Thailand. She's based in Thailand as well. And Stephen Jeong from South Korea will address South Korea, and Jocelyn Zhu, who has also been a speaker. Many of them have already been individual speakers as well on our previous webinars, and she will cover what to expect from China. That being said, I will hand it over to Apurva.
Yep. Thank you so much, Priya. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's webinar. As we continue to navigate the ever-evolving landscape in the medical device industry, it's important for us to stay up to date with the current regulations and updates. So I would like to start off by sharing two important updates that were published by the US in the month of January 2025. So, a draft guidance on artificial intelligence enabled device software functions which has emphasis on lifecycle management and marketing submission recommendations was published on January 6th, 2025. So, this draft guidance document provides recommendations regarding the content of the marketing submissions for devices that includes artificial intelligence enabled device software functions, including documentation and information that will support FDA's evaluation of safety and effectiveness. So this guidance document acknowledges the importance of a total product life cycle, that is TPLC approach, to the management of the AI-enabled devices. So some of the sections of the guidance document also describe information relevant to multiple steps in the TPLC. So one example of how the sections in this guidance may align with the TPLC is included as below. So the first topic that has been covered in this guidance document is development. That includes the risk management, data management, and model description, and also development. We also have validation that has been covered in the guidance document, which includes data management and validation, and description of the final device. So that includes the device description, any model description and development, user interface and labeling, and public submission summaries. And it also includes post-market management that has device performance monitoring and cybersecurity. So this guidance generally describes information that would be generated and documented during software development, verification, and validation. However, the information necessary to support market authorization will vary based on the specifics of each AI-enabled devices. And also during the pre-market review, FDA may request some additional information as they evaluate the submission. So this is all about the can I go to the next slide? Yeah. And we then have a second important update that was published on January 13, 2025 on pre-market approval application and humanitarian device exemption modular review. So the purpose of this guidance document is to provide industry and FDA staff with information regarding the PMA and humanitarian, that is HDE modular review program, and to outline the procedures for submitting or reviewing a modular PMA and HDE. The modular review approach is basically intended to provide a mechanism by which applicants may submit non-clinical data and manufacturing information for review while still collecting, compiling, and analyzing the clinical data using the final device design. And also, in addition, this approach is recommended for products that are in early stages of the clinical study. This modular review approach is not appropriate when the applicant is very close to submitting an original PMA or HDE, or when the device design is in the state of flux or likely to change. So FDA staff considers like multiple scientific and regulatory approaches consistent with least burdensome requirements and principles to streamline the regulatory processes during the review of the modular PMA and HDE. Yeah, can I go to the next slide? Yeah, so here we have some list of guidance documents that were published on the US FDA website. So they have certain list of guidance documents that are in pipeline for development in the year 2025. So you can click on the link that is being provided in the slide to go through the list of all the potential guidance documents that are bound to undergo changes this year. So they have categorized these guidance documents into four sections, that is the A list, the B list, under construction list, and also the retrospective review list. So the A list would identify the priority guidance documents that the CDRH intends to publish during the fiscal year 2025. While the B list identifies the guidance documents that the CDRH intends to publish as resources permit during the fiscal year 2025. Then we also have certain set of guidance documents that are under construction. So that identifies all the intents to develop as resources permit, and they are not on the A or B list. So these set of guidance documents only fall under the under construction list. Then we also have the retrospective review list. So these documents, they identify the final guidance documents that were issued in the year 1985, 1995, 2005, and also 2015 that CDRH commits to review to ensure they continue to represent the agency's current thinking. So this guidance document can really provide and show us what trends that we can follow in the year 2025. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Apurva.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead, Baraa, please.
Yeah. So can you hear me well?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. So we will start first with the Saudi FDA about the draft versions that it will become in effect during 2025. The first law is about the advertisement approval for the medical devices. This is a new version. Saudi Arabia raised this in the late 2024, 16 days of December for public comments, and this is still not coming into force. So we are waiting the Saudi FDA to publish the new version. And I already added the new link having the new changes about for how the approval it will be coming in the next version. And this guideline is especially to include all the ways that you need to advertise your products and for medical devices in Saudi Arabia for the manufacturer. Can I go to the next slide? The second one, which is important, is for the guidance for combination product classification, which is the version 2. It was published in the mid of 2024, while 15th of May, as a draft for public comments. Till now, we didn't receive the approved version, and we are in contact following up with the authorities. Still, the new version not published, but for the new version, there is a new major updates. They added 2 annexes as a checklist, including the requirements. For example, the combination medical devices, the primary effect for the medical devices, how to register the drug in that kind of devices, and the other annex is how to register a drug if the medical devices is an ancillary. Is not the primary effect, the primary effect for drug, and how to register the part of the devices in this combination devices. And there's also a new changes in the timeline and fees. And when I noticed the changes is only about the classification request, they now as 3 working days instead of 1 day, but this is still not implemented. Once the draft version is approved, it will be implemented. Can I go to the next slide? For EDA, Egypt regulatory updates, there is a new version for the regulatory rules of registrations and market authorization for in vitro medical devices that fall under the requirements for register this kind of devices, and also to have the import approval. And there's a lot of, this was also published as a draft for a public comment during 9th of December 2024, and we are expecting to have it during 2025. We cannot say when it will be coming in effect, but once the comments is done, we are expecting maybe within 1 to 2 months, but I hope we can have the new version soon. The new updates is not major. They done administrative and some requirements about the requirements to be submitted. You can check everything about this draft from the link attached in the presentation once you have it. Can I go to the next? Here, they published a new document according to the how to submit the summary of the clinical trials with the title of this law is notice to applicant for public dissemination of a clinical trial scientific and regulatory data for EDA, Egyptian Drug Authority. So in this law, which is still in a draft, not implemented yet, it was including how to write your summary for the clinical trials. I think this is an important law. So when it is come into effect, it will be a great for the manufacturer who is required to prepare this kind of documents to EDA, Egyptian Drug Authority. Can I go to the next slide? Okay, for Algeria, also from the African market, the major alerts or updates started from this year was the announcement of the new law, and this was implemented last week. From January, about the new fees for the application of medical devices. So the new fees, it is a huge law, but the main concept or main purpose from this affecting the medical devices is the fees to be submitted for the application of medical devices, which is 5,000 to 1 million Algerian dinar. Can I go next? The last update from the South Africa, still we didn't have a new updates from January, but later 2024 there was a major update about the adverse event reporting for the medical devices. They splitted this law from a previous version. It was recalls and vigilance medical devices. This law, I need to highlight something. This law is still in effect, but for the data related to the medical devices adverse event reporting, in this law it is no longer valid, and they splitted that from this law to have a new law about medical devices adverse event reporting. And you can have the law link, and there's also a new form for how to report your adverse event for your registered medical devices in South Africa. So this is all from my side. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Baraa. Go ahead,
Hi,
Claudia.
everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Priya. So it's a pleasure to be here today to discuss some regulatory trends for medical devices in Latin America in 2025. And let's go. The first one is regulatory harmonization. And that is one of the major advancements in Latin America, and the increasing MDSAP adoption in Brazil have been enabling manufacturers to perform a single audit valid for multiple markets, and it's doing great here. Additionally, the growing participation in IMDRF is aligning Latin American regulators with global practice, encouraging regulatory convergence, and facilitating access to regional medical device to international markets. So Peru, Mexico, Brazil, Paraguay are some of the countries participating in the IMDRF. The next topic is regarding regulation of new technologies. So technological innovation is shaping the future of medical devices, and Latin American regulations are starting to address this challenge. So we can see that agencies are starting to think about how AI-based device should be regulated. And it's a trend that legislations will start to be reviewed to include requirements covering aspects such transparency, clinical performance, and continuous learning capabilities. And another critical aspect is cybersecurity. Connected device demands standards for protection against cyber attacks and robust data management policies. And these measures are essential to ensure patient safety and the integrity of healthcare systems. The next topic is the quick access to the market. So a huge trend is the expansion of expected regulatory pathways, particularly for devices already approved in reference markets such USA, Australia, or Japan. This model significantly reduces the time to market and allowing crucial innovations to reach patients in Latin America faster. Can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. And regarding the UDI is a reality in Brazil. It's being implemented in Brazil, and it's an important tool for ensuring the traceability of medical devices. Other Latin American countries are expected to follow this path, and maybe they will start to adopt systems that allow monitoring of devices during their life cycle. And the last topic is the regulation of innovation. So some Latin American regulators are promoting standards that encourage innovation, focusing on the patient. So this can include device design to be intuitive and accessible, maximizing their positive impact on public health. And additionally, we can see there is a growing effort to prioritize innovations with significant social impact, reinforcing the commitment to health equity. So a fast conclusion is that Latin America is rapidly advancing in the regulatory global landscape, balancing challenges such as integrating new technologies and aligning with international standards. Thank you so much for joining. That's all.
And again, if you have any questions, we don't want to impact the flow of it, so we'll definitely address any questions you have at the end.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Kartika from RegDesk, and today I will be talking about the regulatory requirements to be implemented or expected this year in Europe. So let's get started. So a European Commission published a regulation 2024-1860 on 9th of July 2024. So purpose of this amendment is to ensure the availability of a medical device and IVD. During the translation period, the supply of certain medical devices and IVD has been or will be discontinued, which may cause harm or risk to the public health. In order to avoid the issue, this amendment requires manufacturer to notify the competent authority before interruption in the supply of a critical device. In regard to this obligation, now European countries are releasing the notice asking the manufacturer to report any of the interruption in supply of a medical device from 10th of this month. Can I have the next slide? Yeah. Also, to avoid the IVD shortage, the translational period has been extended. This has given a manufacturer more time to have their product certified under the new rules. The translational period for Class D IVDs was scheduled to end on 26th of May 2025. Due to low number of certificates and length of the assessment period by the notified body, there is a risk of shortage of many of these devices. The extension period reduces the risk of this shortage. Can I have the next slide? Next, we have a health technology assessment rule, which became applicable from this month. HTA is a scientific evidence-based process that aims to inform the creation of safe, effective health policy by summarizing the information about the medical, social, economic, and the ethical issues related to the use of the health technology. Can I have the next slide? So next update is about the EU regulation for blood cells and tissue. This regulation has adopted and will be entered into force in 7th of August 2027. This regulation is applicable to the substances of human origin collected for the purpose of manufacturing medical device and also to the non-viable substances of human origin and its derivative when the integral part is the integral part of the medical device. Next slide, please. Moving forward to the next update, the member state has launched an initiative called Combined Program. This is in the context of the combined studies that involve the clinical trials of a medicinal product in parallel with the clinical investigation of the medical device. This initiative consists of two phases: analysis of a challenge and a possible development of solution. This program was completed its first phase, and now soon we can expect some developments and rules from this project. Next slide, please. Then we have an update from Switzerland. Ordinance on Human Research Act has been revised and adopted. The adjustments strengthen the protection of people who participate in the research and improve conditions for researchers. These adjustments will be fully come into force on 1st of March this year. Next slide. So France has created a scientific committee. This committee this year will work on gathering a knowledge on how to use a cobalt in the medical devices and use recommendation regarding the information for patients. And from the Denmark, Denmark amended the executive order for the medical devices, which comes into effect this month, and that allows the single-use medical devices to be sent for reprocessing and for the reuse. Lastly, we have an update from Estonia. Administrative responsibility related to the medical device in Estonia was handled by Estonian Health Board, which is now transferred to Estonian State Agency of Medicines from early this month. So thank you all. That was all about the updates from Europe.
Thanks, Kartika. Rosie.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rosie from Vietnam, and I'm going to share with you some important regulation in Vietnam which affects in 2025 and some of my view for the trends or important alerts in 2025. Can I go to next? The first one I want to share with you all here is about the new regulation just published and affects in 2025. It's based on the legal document. It's named Decree No 04, 2025 NDCB. The MOS Vietnam had to publish this decree due to the situation of supply chains of medical device in Vietnam. And the main purpose of this decree is to extending the import license to ensure the supply chains of medical device in Vietnam. Meanwhile, the MOS Vietnam, they will have time to receive the registration application for the circulation of Class C and Class D medical device. Other important content in this decree will focus on to main information, which is importer license will be valid until the 30th of June 2025. And the medical device of Class C and Class D, which publish the classification certificate, can continue to be imported until the 30th of June on this year. And I want to note here the medical device of Class C and Class D. In this case, it will be listed in the list of medical device that require for import license. Okay, I go to next. The second thing that I want to share here is about the projection or the important alerts and trends for 2025. The first one, the MOS Vietnam will focus on develop the policy expected to be included in the medical device law. This draft law will submit to the government before the third quarter of the 2025. The second point they want to focus is amending and supplementing some article of the Decree No 96, 2023, which dated in December 30, 2023, including in this decree have some information that relate to medical device management. The last one is it will have kind of the guidance on classifying medical device according to technical and quality standards in medical device procurement and bidding. Yeah, that's all about Vietnam. Thank you for your listening.
For Thailand, right? This year, we have not much upcoming to for the new regulation change. Starting from the first of Jan 2025, for the IVD part, Thailand has been changed some new checklists because they have more specific requirement per the document. They will be specific on the ISO 13485. So you can look into the website that we are showing on. Also, on the 5th of Jan 2025, for the new registration for the importation manufacturing side, get the establishment licenses with the Thai FDA. They are required to be implement GDP-MD, but they have separate in 4 sections, starting from the Section 2 and Section 3 that they are mandatory for the new coming for 2025. For Section 2 is for the customer and resources management. For Section 3 is about the supply chain and specification of the medical device that they are mandatory. And then for Section 1 and 4, they will become in the next step. For the 15th of Jan 2025, Thai FDA, they are announcing three of the topic. Firstly is for class 1 regarding previously, Thailand has an auto approval, but early of last year, they have changing to be like an registration with the full, but without any auto approval. But right now, after 15th of Jan 2025, Class 1 will be provide the positive list that got the auto approval. It doesn't mean that all the Class 1 that they are registration can be get auto approval, but we need to checking per the positive list that provided by the Thai FDA. Also, they have regarding the importation, manufacturing size, sale and export for the report annually. They are changing the new system in the same application that they call Skynet in Thai FDA. So they will be just like and shorting cut some of the product that we are importing in by linking by the custom clearance once they are coming in. Also, they are expedite to be approval for some of the products such as the blood glucose testing or blood pressure machine and also cancer diagnostic and also the rapid check, also in the EKG. For the 4th of June 2025, the criteria of the method of condition for the installation outside the place that will be registration in the establishment license of the medical device for the class 1 will be implemented. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, this is the next step for the GDPMD that we are coming up for the 2026 for the medical device that 2026, they will be announcing to be implemented in the next section of the GDPMD, also including about the medical device of the clinical trial. They will be forced for the medical device class 3 for 2027. For the clinical trial, they will be forcing for the class 2. Also about the 2028, they will be forcing for the class 1. For the class 4, they will be enforcing to do since last year. That is my end. Thank you.
Thanks, Sothira. Stephen?
Excuse me. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today webinar. So I'm Stephen Jeong from Korea. So today I'm gonna introduce the key updates which are expected to implement it in 2025 and will be revised in 2025. So I brought 3 key updates. As you can see, the Digital Medical Product Act, which is a new regulation in Korea, and second one is the cybersecurity requirements, which is the new edition, the third one. So I'm gonna explain that what is the new requirement, and then lastly, in the last, I will going to cover the KGAP framework harmonizations. Next slide, please. Okay, so the first key update is the enforcement of the Digital Medical Product Act. Along with currently we have a Medical Device Act and then In Vitro Medical Device Act. So all the medical devices are regulated by the regulations. But as of the January 24th of this year, the regulation is coming, which is the Digital Medical Device Act. So what type of the product are regulated by this the regulation, which are digital medical devices and then digital combination medicines, the digital healthcare, and the wellness support devices. So those 3 kind of the devices and the products are regulated by these new regulations. So what the kind of the traditional medical devices and the existing medical devices are regulated affected to the regulations. typically the software as medical devices, SAMD, all the SAMD medical devices are regulated, and then goes to this new regulations as of January 24th this year. And then the medical devices which has a functionality of the AI, and then digital technology like the robotic technology, and then the VR, AR, whatever. So the high technologies, if the high technologies are implemented and then applied to the medical devices, those kind of medical devices are affected to the new regulations. It means that those medical devices should be approved and then get a regulatory clearance by these new regulations. So this is something that the very big, the changes, the big impact to the industry. I think it might be the first regulation worldwide. So if you are your company, your manufacturers, the manufacturer and then they develop the digital products, I think you have to look into this the detail of the Digital Medical Device Medical Product Act. But even though it will be implemented as of the January 24th this year, it is just tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, right? But detail of the regulations and the guidance and notification was it is all the guidelines and the notification are still in the draft version. So hopefully, I think in tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, the MFDS will announce and then notice the regulations and the guidance. They're all about that. So as you can see, the key regulatory differences, which are the product classification, risk classes. Of course, classification will be changed for all the digital medical product, and then license requirements for the business, such as the manufacturers and the importers. So all the business license should be approved again by this new regulation. And then a regulatory approval for importing and the manufacturing the devices. Of course, you have to get the regulatory clearance for that. And then the QMS perspective, of course, you have to get the KGMP certification by this new regulation. So I think it is easy to understand this new regulation. You can just consider this regulation. Okay, this is just a new regulation, new framework. So if the devices, your products are in this scope, you have to get a new approval, a new license. Can you go to the next, please? Yeah. So next is the cybersecurity requirements. Actually, this revision was issued at the late of last year, but there is the transition period will be implemented June 3rd of this year. So the key update, the key change is previously in the second versions, IMDRF, the documents are references to the guidance, but in this the editions IEC standard, you can see that two IEC standard are applied in the references to the guidance. So if you are the devices and if the products are of the compliant with this IEC standard, there might be no any issues. But if you are not ready to compliance with these IEC standards, you might need to get prepared the compliance perspective. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the last update for Korea. So I have brought this KGMP framework harmonizations. The MFDS is interested in to become the MD sub member. So that's why they have a lot of the initiative to harmonize the MD sub frameworks, and then even though there are a lot of the gaps between MD sub and international the QMS requirements and the KGMP, but they are ready, and they are planning to revised and they changed the current regulations to harmonize the global the regulation and global standard. So as you can see, what I can expect it to this year, KGMP certification scope will be changed to harmonize the global standard, and the KGMP system, the operation procedures and the requirements will be also changed. So we have had the meeting with the MFDS and between the MFDS and the industry in a few weeks ago. So in the meeting, we have discussed about how the KGMP can be harmonized with the international standard and MDSAP framework. So all this discussion for becoming the MFDS as the MDSAP, one of the MDSAP, the member. So to become a MDSAP member, recently they changed, they limitedly they accept the MDSAP certification. So if any manufacturer they hold the MDSAP the certificate, they can exempt the on-site audit with, and then they can replace with the document review. So that is one of the benefit that MFD is given. So yeah, that's all. Yeah, for the Korea. Thank you.
Thank you. Jocelyn,
Hi.
the stage is yours.
Okay. Hi, good morning, everyone. Today I will discuss the upcoming regulatory changes in China. So in China section, I will cover the two topics. One is the medical device administration law. This is a draft for comments. And the other topic is the key comparison between the new draft law and the current regulation. Next slide, please. Okay. Let's begin with the new medical device administration law. It's only a draft for comments. It has not been, released officially. So, it is issued by the NAPA and 2024. There's the basic principles for this law is it focuses on the people's health-centered approach and establish some key concepts around the safety development and implements a comprehensive framework based on the risk management, the full process control, the scientific supervision, and the social co-governance. These elements are designed to ensure the critical aspects of the medical device, the safety, the effectiveness, and accessibility. Next slide, please. Okay, now let's explore the differences between the law draft and the current regulation. First, regarding the basic framework, the new draft introduces a people-centered approach, making a shift from the purely technical consideration to a more holistic view of health care delivery. In the standards and quality, there's a strong push forward in national harmonization. The draft law actively encourages manufacturers to adopt international standards that exceed the China domestic requirements. Importantly, the implementation process has been made more flexible to accommodate industry needs. In aspects of the let's looking at the import management. A significant change requires foreign manufacturers to appoint domestic agent with valid license. The license including the manufacturing or the distribution license, and that's related to domestic agent responsibility. The scope has been expanded. The agent must now implement comprehensive post-market risk control measures, maintain the QMS, and handle the AE monitoring. They are also responsible for managing the recalls and the regulatory inspections, such as like that. And finally, in the clinical application, the new draft, are more flexible to allow the the surgeons to off-label use of the existing medical device. Yeah, just provided there's the proper medical justification and the patient consent. All these changes represent a significant evolution in China, aligning with more closely with the international standards while maintaining strong safety oversight. Okay, that's for the China side. Thank you.
Thank you to our panel for doing this and sharing their insights. Now we have a bunch of questions, and I'll try to address as many as possible. Well, one of the questions for South Korea, Stephen, was, is there a transition period for the new South Korean regulation?
I think the question is about the transitions for existing devices which are already registered in Korea. But unfortunately, as you can see, the regulation, the high level regulation is the issued. So the sub level, the regulation was not issued yet. So hopefully today or the day after tomorrow, if the regulation is issued, then yeah, the transition period will be also clarified. So yeah, hopefully yeah, I can update on that.
Claudia, question for you. Regarding your presentation, is there more information on the specifics of the cybersecurity standards that are being considered? Do we have any additional knowledge of that?
So about cybersecurity, Brazil already has a specific guide on the subject specifically for medical devices. Argentina has a general regulation on cybersecurity, as do Mexico and Costa Rica, which have a federal law on data protection. In fact, each country has its own profile, and the trend is that over time, they will absorb material for their own laws.
And then another question for you was regarding the quick access to the market, is this also applicable for Brazil?
Yes, Brazil published a normative instruction 290 from 2024, which addresses the process of optimized analysis of processes already approved by well-known regulatory agencies. And this includes the TGA from Australia, the Health Canada, the US FDA, and the Japan.
Another question regarding Mexico is registration of medical device software mandatory in Mexico?
And yes, although it's not mentioned in the general health law, the software devices are mentioned in the pharmacopoeia and in the regulation of health supplies. The COFEPRIS has its own guidance on how to implement the registration of software devices in Mexico.
Okay. And Baraa, question for you for Algeria. They're asking regarding Algeria, any news regarding the homologation dossier registration? The deadline for submission was November 22, 2024. Is it confirmed? Are you aware of that?
Yes, it is confirmed. There's no additional circular announced about if they need to extend this timeline. If there will be, we will inform. You can contact us, or we will share it in our RegDesk LinkedIn. But till now, there's no news.
Okay. Those are all the questions. There was one about obtaining English versions of new regulations. If the country has an English version of it, we're more than happy to provide you with that. But otherwise, at RegDesk, we are summarizing all the regulations in English for you, so you don't need that translation. And you can contact us for that. Question for Mexico again. Has Fast Track been implemented for Mexico? Claudia? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I was muted. No, not yet.
Not yet.
I believe
Okay.
that Mexico as member of IMGRF has a regulatory equivalence agreement with US FDA, Health Canada, and the Ministry of Health of Japan, but not yet a regulation stating the optimized analysis, the fast track.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks. Stephen, Korea, question for Korea. Is there any update on the new AI Basic Act in Korea?
Yes, Basic AI Act was passed, and then is ready to implement it. But I think I didn't check. I haven't checked the implementation date for Basic AI Act. Yeah, but it was issued, and then we are ready for the implementation. Sorry for the I'm not answering for that, because the Basic AI Act is also it is applicable for the medical devices, but basically the Basic AI Act is for the general AI. So that's why, yeah, I need to repeat to the
Everyone.
Basic AI. Yes, thank you.
Another question for you will South Korea harmonize cybersecurity requirements to align with the FDA and IEC 81001-5-1? Will they harmonize cybersecurity requirements?
The only harmonized standard is IEC 62443-432 and then IEC TR 6061-4-5. So I think the FDA guidance and the IEC 001-5-1 they are not totally and then entirely harmonized to the Korean requirements. So I would recommend it to refer to IEC standards, which are the referenced in my slide.
And where can one obtain information for the Korea KGMP harmonization?
The GMP, the harmonization is my expectation, my experience, and then I that I interact with the MFDS, and the based on that I heard from MFDS official. So I think in this year there might be at least one notifications and not one changes. So in that notifications, yeah, some changes will be included. So I don't know, maybe the middle of this year or end of this year, the MFTS will notify the new KGMP regulation revised version. So if you the monitor that KGMP regulation updates, then you can find out the more detail about the changes of the KGMP harmonization.
Okay. And somebody actually answered the question about the AI Act. The transition period they're saying is exactly 1 year from its release, which will be January 24th, 2026. So next year, January, transition period. Well, those are all the questions we received. Oh, sorry, they're saying not AI Act, the Medical Device Act. So thank you for the clarification, Chelsea. Again, if you have any questions for our panelists, we will add, when we send you the presentation, we will add their email addresses as well so that you can email them directly with any questions you may have. Again, thank you so much to our panel for being here, for presenting and answering questions, and to all our attendees for taking the time to attend our webinar. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.